Welcome back to the Don't Cancel Me channel. This is your boy Petrie Perfect, and I'm here to discuss Kevin Hart receiving the Mark Twain Comedy Honor of the Year. I'm also going to give y'all my top 10 comedians that's active right now. So stay tuned and let's get after it. For those who are still getting to know me, one thing to know about me is that Kevin Hart is one of my favorite comedians. He's done everything from acting, from stand-up comedy, from doing interviews. Everything that he do, I feel like he does exceptionally well. Of course, you can argue about and debate about his movies and how good they are and how good they're not. I'm not going to sit there and make that an argument today because I know everything is not perfect, but to see where Kevin Hart came from, he's one of the few comedians that I've actually got to see from the ground up. I mean, and I'm not even gonna say ground because I became a fan of the Soul Plane movie. I don't understand why that movie gets so much hate like it does. To me, it's one of the funniest movies I have ever seen. But the movie is that's where I became a fan of Kevin Hart. So to go from there to I'm a Grown Little Man, Seriously Funny, to all the stand-up specials that he's done, all the movies that he's done with The Rock, with Tiffany Haddish, and so on. Kevin Hart has really taken over the comedy industry and took it to a whole different level. The Kevin Hart Mark Twain special was really good to watch on Netflix. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, check it out. It's really just him being honored the entire night, getting his flowers while he's still here. You have people like Jerry Seinfeld, which I was so shocked that they was able to get out the house. Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, Tiffany Haddish, uh, Cannon, and so many other Kevin Hart supporters and friends that he's made along the way. It was an awesome set piece. It was a brilliantly shot. Just took me down memory lane to know how Kev was the actor, the man, all his ups and downs and the tribulations that he's been through, the way he owned up to everything that he has ever done wrong in his life. It's something to see too. The show just kind of just you don't really get to see people being honored in that way, but to know where Kevin Hart started and to where he is now, it truly was a special thing to see. Now, I know a lot of people will come onto this video in the comments and say, well, Kevin Hart really not that funny, or uh, Kevin Hart is this and Kevin Hart is that. And I don't understand what you like about Kevin Hart. And I understand sometimes when people are at the top, I think you can get a little fatigued from him. Kevin Hart is everywhere. He's always on your screen. He's on your Instagram feed. He's in your TikTok stories. He's in the theater. He's on the TV. He's doing interviews, doing promotions, doing so much stuff. I can understand from suffering from Kevin Hart fatigue. And then on another hand, comedy is subjective. Everybody has their own people who they think is funny and who they don't think is funny. And part of that is the reason why I wanted to put together my top 10 list of comedians that are active today. They are doing tours. This is not my all-time list. I want to make sure I make this very clear. This is not my all-time list, but these are the comedians that I would stop everything I'm doing if they ever came to the city of Houston to try to go see. All right, but let's get to the top 10. These are the top 10 comedians, right? So I tell you, for me to make this list, they had to be active. They got to be touring, doing shows, or whatever the case may be. This is not my all-time list. Not my all-time list. I want to make sure I make that very clear. So let's get into it. Number 10, Ali Sadiq. Ali Sadiq is a comedian that I'm not sure if many people are familiar with, but I know he is a great, big, huge comedian in the Houston area, and I know he's big along amongst the comedy in the comedy world as well. Ali Sadiq is an extremely great storyteller. He has a way of wrapping you in with a story, and it's not even tell like he's telling. He's not a punchline joker. He is a storytell joker, and that's an extreme talent to get on stage for an hour and to make it seem like you're telling one big story. I got to give it to Ali Sadiq. If you haven't seen any specials, please go check it out. Funny, funny, funny dude. Number 9. This is where the list is going to really get the rubbing some people the wrong way. Chico Bean. Now, comedy is subjective. This is for me. But Chico Bean is hilarious. And I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves, because when he's up there on stage with Carlos in DC, with Carlos's just comedic timing and greatness, and DC's animated style and loud and outbursted comedy, I think Chico Bean gets overlooked. If you can get when Chico Bean is by himself, Chico Bean is hilarious. I watched him and I was shocked. I was thinking like you all, he like the DL Hughley of the yeah, I know what I'm trying to say. But he like the DL Hughley. And I'm like, no, this dude is different. Chico Bean is hilarious. I listened to him on the Ricky Smiley Morning Show, and I mean, he had me in tears. Just the way he was telling stories and talking to them on the morning show. Because to me, being funny off the stage has something to do with my list as well. Number 8. I had to give me one woman on here, and I could not think of nobody else other than Miss Pat. Miss Pat is what I is the definition of funny. I found Miss Pat. I first learned of Miss Pat when I went to go see, I want to say it was Afion Crockett at the Houston Improv, and she opened up for him, and it was me and my buddy C Sam, and we was there checking Afion Crockett out, and Miss Pat came on stage and absolutely killed it. I never saw this woman again. I always tried to look for her until she started making headlines, and I was like, okay, that's that woman I remember seeing. I love Miss Pat's comedy because it's raw, it's raunchy, it's cursing. If it's like it's like that auntie that we all got in our family that's gonna say whatever's on their mind, do whatever, and say we don't even matter what they whatever come. Don't even bring them around. Don't bring no new girls around. Don't bring no new dudes around because you don't know what's gonna come out of Aunt Pat mouth. Pat is hilarious. Her show is funny. Her show is a real it's a real life um it really shows how she is in her real life, and it's based off of that. And I just love Miss Pat. Number 7, Andrew Schultz. Andrew Schultz is one guy one of the newer guys on my list that has really taken me by storm. Like I said, this list is not for anybody else. This list is for me. But Andrew Schultz and his crowd work is comparable to almost none, because I think I have one that's further up on the list that could compete, but almost comparable to none. Andrew Schultz is hilarious. He is a punchline comedian. He can still tell stories, but I think Andrew Schultz is strongest when he's working the crowd. Now he has his podcast with Charlemagne the God. I do watch it from time to time, and it does make me laugh. I don't think he's as strong off the stage as he is on the stage, but nonetheless, he killed it. If not, if you want to see something recent, go check out the Tom Brady roast on Netflix. You'll get an idea what I'm talking about. Number 6 is going to be a deep cut. This person is not on the main stations. This person is not in movies. Is not in on Comedy Central or nothing like that. But number 6 for me is Arnez J. Arnez J is a legend in the game. A lot of the comedians look up to Arnez J. I'm not going to say look up to him, but they respect Arnez J and everything that he's brought to the game. If you want to talk about animated comedians, Arnez J is the definition of that. He'll be on the stage, twirling around, going this way, doing this, going up and going to. Arnez J is hilarious from the moment he get on stage to the moment he step off the stage. We all know about his brother that has special needs, and he was sitting in the front window when he got home, and then the fight at Burger King against the other. I mean, he has so many endless jokes that's funny. I went to go see Arnez J at the Houston Improv. And like I said, this is all personal. This is my list. But I remember Arnez J. Sometimes, let me leave out something. You don't always remember what people said, but you remember how they made you feel. And I remember when I was sitting in there with Arnez J, he had my stomach hurting. I almost had to go to the doctor because he had my stomach so hurting so bad. I thought something was wrong with me. So I got to give Arnez J some love on this list. Once he come to Houston, I'm there. Number 5. Once again, I'm going to ruffle some feathers with this. But for me, number 5, Ricky Smiley. Ricky Smiley is one of my biggest inspirations. I'm not going to put him as my number 1 comedian because that's what this list, number 1 active comedian, because that's what this list is right now. But Ricky Smiley is really important to me. I could not have a list without putting him on here. Ricky Smiley is the reason why I started the channel, why I wanted to do podcasts, why I wanted to be on the radio making people laugh. Every morning, Ricky Smiley is on the radio, and if you ever get to tune in, of course, not every single day is going to be funny, but when you're on the radio, what is it? 300 days out of the 365-day year, you have to come up with new material and be funny all the time. One thing I really love about Ricky Smiley is that I love his comedy for church. If you grew up in the church and that was your way of life, then a lot of stuff that Ricky Smiley says you can relate to. And so Ricky he only has one special. His next special should be coming out soon on Netflix. I know he did shoot it, but I'm not 100% sure when they're going to air it on Netflix. But when it do, I know it's going to be funny. It'll be his second special. Casket Sharp might be in my top 10 comedy specials of all time, but that's be it for another video. Number 4 is the third member of the 85 South Show, and that is Carlos Miller. Carlos Miller is one of those folks that as I watch, the level of brilliance that go into his comedy is unmatched. From start to finish, Carlos Miller has jokes after jokes after jokes, great callbacks, great life advice. Black men don't cheat. He created a hashtag that people use in their real everyday lives. Carlos Miller is a one of a kind. He's a legend. He is the godfather of the 85 South Show. That show does not move without him on it. Even when you watch the show and when there is no DC, if there is no Chico, Carlos Miller still can maintain that whole podcast channel, whatever I don't know exactly what they're gonna call it, but he maintains and he can run that whole show just by himself because of how great he is in comedy. All right, before we reveal the top 3, remember, please, if you've been here this long, that means you are interested in this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel as I'm going to continue to do more of these videos. Let's get into it. Number 3. I'm going to ruffle some more feathers with this one, but number 3, I got to go with Matt Rife. Matt Rife is taking over the comedy game city by city, show by show. TikTok scrolls by TikTok scrolls. Matt Rife is completely changing the game and has the ultimate crowd work. When I see Matt Rife talk to people in wheelchairs and the jokes that he were making and the stuff that he says is always on that edge. You know, you want, some people want to stay on each side, but not Matt. He does not care. Similar to Andrew Schultz, Matt Rife will go at anybody in the crowd. Everybody's fair game. His crowd work is impeccable. His storytelling is awesome. To see where he came from, where I first saw him on Wild and Out, I'm glad to see where he is now. Matt Rife is awesome, and I had to put him at number 3. For me, number 2 will have to be Dave freaking Chappelle. Now, I know for a lot of people, he's number 1. Dave Chappelle's jokes are one of a kind, a brother that cannot be canceled. It is incredible how Dave Chappelle is able to say the jokes that he's able to say, make it funny, and make a lot of money. That is impressive. And Dave Chappelle is one person that, for me, yeah, like I've stated 1,000 times in this video, comedy is subjective. I wasn't the biggest David Chappelle fan growing up. I didn't really watch the Chappelle show. I am a fan of this older Chappelle, not the crazy Chappelle that was all on the show, which was that was for people who enjoyed that. That's them. But I am a late fan to him, and as you can see, he climbed all the way to number 2 on my list. His Netflix specials are amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. The way that he's able to attack political issues and say what he wants and talk about whatever community, y'all know community I'm talking about, that like to cancel folks, to able to make jokes on them. They attempt to cancel him and he still stands tall. That lets you know that the comedy that he presents to the world is strong. Now, the person that I have number 1 is the reason why this video was created in the first place. For number 1, I'm going to go with Kevin Hart. For me, Kevin Hart is on top of the game. Kevin Hart is one of those comedians, like I stated earlier, that has just taken over with movies, interviews, shows. It does not matter. Kevin Hart, everything that Kevin Hart steps into or touches almost turns to gold. All his projects are not all that. All his stand-up specials are not all that. But the fact that he keeps putting out content, the fact that he's been on world tours, and the fact that he sold out a football stadium tells you that there's not many comedians doing what Kevin Hart is doing. The sound, the production. And if you ask me, moving away from stand-up, I believe Kevin Hart is at his strongest in interviews. If you just type in Kevin Hart interviews on YouTube or TikTok or whatever you watch on social media, I promise you, you will laugh. His interviews with The Rock, his interviews with Jimmy Fallon, Conan, Ice Cube, doesn't matter. When he's doing promotion, that is the funniest I ever seen Kevin Hart. And to me, that's the most natural. Because when you're on stage, things are scripted. When you're in movies, things are scripted. But when you're doing interviews, you're answering questions, and them questions go into story. I'm sure there's a little script to it. I'm sure you've prepped yourself and knew what they were going to ask in a sense. But when you start telling stories, you're getting the crowd involved. that is a natural ability that a lot of comedians do not have. So I gotta give, even with all the Kevin Hart fatigue that's going on in the world, I gotta make him my number one. If you enjoyed this list, please make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. Let me know what your top 10 comedians are. Like I said, this is not all time. I might do another video for all time. This is just my top 10 active comedians right now. That's all this is, y'all. People that are touring. I know we got the Steve Harveys and we got the George Wallaces and we got the Eddie Murphys. I'll do another video for those. But for right now, I just wanted to give y'all my active list for those in honor of Kevin Hart and receiving the Mark Twain Comedy Award. So this is Petrie Perfect. I hope y'all enjoyed this video and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.